If you go back to the consensus analysis for 2019, now it may turn out to be wrong, let's put that aside. That analysis shows up to 1.5 million barrels per day of excess supply if everything remains the same. US production continues to grow the way it is projected to, and OPEC keeps its output as it is now. So I wouldn't be surprised if in order for the bulls to come back on stage, they would want to see at least 1.4 to 1.5. But as Dan just laid out, that's the biggest question right now in the minds of the market participants.
Sure.
You know, what are we going to see this afternoon?
And deal or no deal for the 1.5 at least. I mean, the supply issues, it's amazing when we talk about the API data that came out with U.S. stockpiles, once again catching the market by surprise. Why are traders getting it so wrong on their own expectations of what is taking place with the fundamentals?
That's a story in itself. We have seen API and the EIA data coming out at odds as well. I think underlining what we need to understand is that this market has just not been its usual self. Since the second week of October, there have not been clear signals coming from OPEC as to what it wants to do, which is quite unusual based on what we have seen, how we've seen OPEC, non-OPEC behaving over the past 2 years. And on top of that, we've seen extreme nervousness and volatility in the financial markets, and right until this morning, right?
Yep.
So, you know, what I said this morning to my clients is that the red that we are seeing in crude right now, yes, there is uncertainty about what OPEC will do, but I think to a large extent, it's just the infection, the contagious nature of the risk-off sentiment in the financial market. So I think that's been a big player as well.
Interesting. Dan?
Vandana, give me some insight into the Saudi mindset right now, if you can, because in the ghosts of OPEC meetings past, we've really seen the Saudis working hard to jawbone prices higher so they didn't have to cut as much. But it's interesting to see this time around, there doesn't really seem to be a clear narrative from the Saudis or really anyone within the producer group about exactly what could come out of this meeting. Why?
Yeah, with the disclaimer that I don't have any privileged information about what's going on in the Saudis' minds. Definitely, the Saudis, in my perspective, seem to be a little bit not in as much command and control as they were back in 2016. And as you just mentioned earlier, the Jamal Khashoggi affair has been a major element there, which seems to have destabilized their position a little bit vis-a-vis the US, but also on the international stage. And I've been very curiously watching the equation between the Saudis and the Russians as well. I think that's been a big factor in all this nervousness that we've been talking about in the oil markets. I mean, they were like that, you know, going into 2016, 2017, all the decisions were taken rather smoothly. They were taken between Saudi Arabia and Russia a little before, ahead of the meeting. But going into this meeting, we've been seeing, obviously, no direct declarations from either of the ministers about what they intend to do. But more importantly, reports that there seem to be differences on how they're going to split a cut between the two of them. So I think that definitely makes the market quite nervous.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.